the final phrase of the oath of their honor code, in which they reaffirm each of their 4 years, in which they reaffirm each of their 4 years. An oath reads, if I may read it to you. So, in the spirit of respect, we will not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate among us anyone who does. Furthermore, I resolve to do my duty and to live honorably, so help me God. Now, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Well, because a group called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation objected, the Air Force, U.S. Air Force Academy, they caved. They caved. Now they're the only military academy that has God in their code, and they've now made it optional, but they caved. Why on earth would they cave? Well, according to Lieutenant General Michelle Johnson, the Academy's superintendent, here at the Academy, we work to build a culture of dignity and respect. And that respect includes the ability of our cadets, airmen, and civilian airmen to freely practice and exercise their religious preference or not. By extension, you know, when you were testifying in a court of law, you know, when you were testifying in a court of law, don't you say, "So help me God"? What if the president doesn't want to say it? What if the senator doesn't want to say it? Are we ready? Are we ready, guys, or we're not ready? Okay, we're ready. All right, here we go. Let's welcome in Chris Rodda, Senior Research Director for Military Religious Freedom Foundation. Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Well, it's good to have you. Okay, so tell me what your objection or your group's objection is to God in the oath at the Air Force Academy.
Well, it's a violation of Article 6 of the Constitution, the No Religious Test Clause, to make cadets or anyone else in the military swear an oath to God when it violates their religious principles.
Well, who complained that it violated their religious principles?
We get complaints about this constantly, about the swearing of oaths.
From who? Who gives you complaints?
From service members.
Service members.
Service members, cadets. It's one of the most common complaints we get. And people contacting to ask us if they have to say it or not.
So you got people, how many would you say? And you're talking about, now I know this is the only military school, the only school academy, should I say, military academy, where they have God in the code, in the oath.
No, that's not true, actually. It's all over the place.
It's at West Point? It's at the Naval Academy? It's where?
There are various different things that acknowledge God, whether it's cadet codes or
well, I'm talking about the code. So which other academies have the code with God in it?
Oh, I would need to look that up specifically.
Well, then how do you know I'm wrong? How do you know I'm wrong if you don't know? How do you know I'm wrong if you don't know?
I'm sorry, at the Air Force Academy, it's an issue.
How do you know I'm wrong if you don't know? You said I'm wrong, it's not true, and then I asked you, and you said you'd have to look it up.
We get emails constantly from people in the military.
In the military, that doesn't mean they're at the academies.
Okay, this is really an important point. The issue, let's just talk about the academy then. The oath specifically at the academy. There are people, cadets at the academy, who it's against their religious principles, and not just atheists. Many Christians do not swear oaths to God because it violates, I believe it's Matthew 5:33 to 37. This is not all about atheists. We get pegged as an atheist organization, but 96% of our clients are actually Christians.
96% of your clients overall are Christians?
Overall, and that's remained constant for 6 years. That figure.
And what are we talking about? 10 people? Are we talking about 1 million people? 1,000 people?
We're talking. We've had. I believe we're up to about 35,000.
You have 35,000 clients.
35,000 service members, cadets, veterans who have contacted Murph either individually or some of those are part of group complaints where, say, 30 soldiers at a particular base will come to us as a group about something. But the total right now, I believe we just went over 35,000.
In what time frame? How many years are we talking about?
I think about 6 years.
How many?
About 6 years.
6 years, 35,000 people. 95% of them are Christians who don't want to say God.
Right. Well, no, they have a thing about swearing oaths that Matthew 5:33 to 37, where it says, it flat out says, do not swear any oath to God, simply say yes or no. And this is why we have, or supposed to have in the oaths, the choice to swear or affirm. And in the original military oaths written by the founders in 1789, they did not include "so help me God." That wasn't added till 1862 for officers and 1962 for enlisted. So we're talking about, they knew all about Article 6 of the Constitution.
Well, specifically at the Air Force Academy, it was added in 1984 after a cheating scandal.
Well, there's actually two different oath issues going on at the Air Force Academy right now. One is the honor oath at the Academy's prep school. That's the one you're talking about. We also have a current issue of an email was sent to cadets telling them that if they did not say the words "so help me God" at the end of their commissioning oath to be lieutenants, their commissioning oath would not be legal. They actually, it "must" was in capital letters in the email, and we contacted the Pentagon about that, and somebody from the Air Force Academy then sent another email out to the cadets, and it was kind of very non-committal, saying they can't make a decision yet, when this is such a clear-cut issue. Nobody in this country can be told they have to swear an oath to God.
Well, when you go into the military, you lose almost all your rights.
No.
Do you not lose all your rights? I mean, do you have freedom of assembly? Could you write what you want? Could you assemble? Could you protest? Could you do anything you want?
Under certain conditions, there are restrictions for good order and discipline. Yes, some rights are curtailed somewhat as far as religious activity, political activity, things in uniform, or whatever. But this is an issue that's not any sort of factor in this particular issue. This particular issue, Article 6 of the Constitution, nobody can be forced to swear an oath to God for any position with the government.
To me, when you're in the obviously this was done and it's been done and it hasn't been done against the Constitution, or it wouldn't have been done. It's like this myth of separation. Wait, let me finish. It's like the myth of. Can I finish? It's like the myth of separation of state, church and state in the Constitution. It doesn't exist. It says the state shall establish no religion, and you would be the first, I'm sure, to champion. You're making it sound, and I'd love to see your list. Any group could come to you and say, we're a group and we represent 10,000 soldiers, and you would count it as 10,000 people you represent. I don't know. I'd love to see your records and your books and count up the 35,000, 95% of whom are Christian. That I'd like to see. But that aside,
and Ron Cruz organizations say are coming to them with complaints.
Okay, but that aside,
keeping their clients anonymous, and we keep our clients anonymous.
Okay, sure, that's easy. Well, I got 1 million clients and I keep mine anonymous. But the fact
do you take at face value when those groups say they have X number of clients, X number of people coming to them?
I'm not talking about other groups. I'm talking about this.
Apples to apples.
When they come on, I'll talk. When they come on, I'll talk to them. You're on, and I'm talking to you about your group. And the fact of the matter is, you make it sound like you're representing Christians, but certainly, and not atheists. But I'm sure your group would also be in favor of taking away a cross on a mountain that honors dead soldiers,
if it violates a military
or taking away any form of religious freedom. If someone disagrees with it.
We are not an anti-religion organization. Get that straight. We actually just, give me an example. We just had a case where a Christian came to us complaining about an officer who had a bumper sticker on their car that was denigrating to Christians. We agreed with the Christian and got the atheist to remove their sticker because it was the atheist in that case who was violating military regulations by denigrating a religion.
But how is anybody... Now, let me ask you a question. If the commander-in-chief decides he doesn't want to be sworn in and say, so help me God, is that okay?
Yeah, because the "So help me God" is not actually in the president's oath in the Constitution.
Okay. And
most presidents have added it by choice,
and
that's what we want here. We want the cadets to be able to add it by choice if they wish to, but not have it in the actual printed oath, which would be exactly the same as the president's oath is now.
How about if someone knows, for instance, now it's changed unfortunately, but if someone know that going into the U.S. Air Force Academy they would have to say, "So help me God," and they didn't like it, how about they didn't go in? How would that be?
Why should they?
What do you mean, why should they? I'm saying if that's the rule, if that's how it's been done since 1984, then why?
Then it doesn't matter.
If that's how it's been done since '84, and you know that going in, then you expect to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't join that organization.
So you're saying someone who objects to something that's unconstitutional.
You say it's unconstitutional. You say it's unconstitutional.
Because they're doing something that's unconstitutional.
You say it's unconstitutional. The person who in charge of the academy in announcing the change did not say they're complying with the Constitution or had been violating the Constitution.
But we are saying that they are violating the Constitution.
Right. Well, you would say that a cross on a hill honoring troops who died, if someone objected, you would take their case and say that's violating the Constitution.
It depends. And we have actually disagreed with some other organizations and the things they've gone after. Yeah, because we didn't think they were violations.
All right, I just think...
We look at the military regulations, the Constitution. If something is a violation,
I know. It's just like
it's not.
Separation of church and state, which doesn't exist, but the left likes to run with that, and they do run with that. And if you tell somebody there's no such thing as separation of church and state in the Constitution, they look at you like you got three heads. But
separation of church and state is just a handy metaphor that's become popular.
No,
yes, I know
it's become the mantra of the left and those who want to get rid of religion in this country. But look, I thank you for your time, Chris Rodda. I'm up against a hard break, Chris. Got to go. Senior Research Director for Military Religious Freedom Foundation. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You want to weigh in? 877 Newsmax, 877-639-76